So welcome to this week's Optimum Health Clinic Facebook Live. And it's the wrong day, it's the wrong time, it's not a very good location. So apologies for change of schedule. I ran out of time yesterday to do it in the window, and I wanted to get a Facebook Live out this week because I've been away on holiday last week. So thank you for the patience and understanding in that. So this week I wanted to keep it relatively brief, but I wanted to focus on something which I think is super important and very easily forgotten. And that is the importance of working with the fundamentals, the essentials, the basics. What often happens on the recovery path is that we, early on in our kind of active path of working on recovery, we come across the fundamentals. And when I mean the fundamentals, I mean things like the importance of being in a healing state, the importance of eating the right food and potentially getting the right support with supplements, the importance of getting good quality deep rest, the importance of pacing and actively working with listening to our body and those pieces that we've talked about in various ways in these videos. And we focus to get those pieces in place, and hopefully we do. And then we start to recognize that perhaps there are some more complex pieces to the picture of our recovery path. And those more complex pieces might be getting deeper into some of the nutritional, physiological things that are going on, perhaps getting in touch with some of the childhood issues that have been going on, or unprocessed trauma, or whatever it may be. And as we do that, inevitably, those things become more interesting. Those things start to catch our attention, also catch our focus, because they're a necessary part of the jigsaw. And as we go into those things, often in life, the deeper you go into something, the more you see it, the more you recognize it. And sometimes it's almost like we start to believe that my recovery is not going to happen unless I deal with and resolve all of my childhood emotions and trauma. Or my recovery is not going to happen until I hit a perfect test result on my adrenals or mitochondria or digestive stuff or whatever. And what I'm about to say is not to dismiss the importance of those things, because it may well be that they are absolutely crucial pieces of the jigsaw which need work and need attention and need you to deal with them. But what can happen when we're on that path is we then forget that those fundamentals are also a crucial part of the building blocks. And what you can see is sometimes people can go 85-90% of the recovery path just by having those fundamentals consistently over time locked down and in place. And those fundamentals, almost by definition of being fundamentals and being things that we need to be doing on a kind of regular daily basis, that they get boring. And we start to feel like that because we understand intellectually the importance of those pieces. So, you might have watched a bunch of these videos. It might be that you've read a bunch of stuff online. Maybe you've had some sessions, done the 90-day program, whatever it may be. But you really understand the importance of being in a healing state. And yet, either life has taken over, or the other things that you focus on the recovery path have taken over. And if you're really honest with yourself, as you're watching this video now or listening to it on a podcast, whatever, that you realize that actually, on a daily basis, your nervous system is not in a healing state. Or it may be that if you're really honest with yourself, that you're not eating in the way that you know that you should be eating. Or for a period of time, you were consistently having a meditation practice, or you were pacing really carefully. And that's something that's just not really been happening more recently in the way that it should be happening. And so really what this video is a call to arms, in a sense, to put your attention back to basics and make sure that those crucial building blocks are in place and are being given the attention and the priority that they actually need. And that the balance between having the fundamentals in place and the more intricate and the more nuanced and the more complex stuff that may also be going on as part of the picture is, of course, also, when necessary, is being addressed and being dealt with as well. And my arm's gonna fall off. I'm holding this phone at this angle. Hang on 1 second. And so, if what you're finding is that you are, in a sense, you know what to do, but you don't do what you know, or that you recognize that despite the fact that you understand a lot of the theory around diet, or a lot of the theory around being in a healing state, then actually when it comes down to it on a daily basis, when you think about how you spend your time and how you spend your attention, that actually those things are slipping. Those things have not got the consistency of focus that they need to have. And if you've read my book on my recovery story, one of the things that I think often jumps out to people is a conversation that I had, and it's kind of crazy. I was thinking the other day, it's actually probably almost 20 years ago now that I had that conversation, but conversation about how badly I wanted to get better, the list of things that I felt I could do that would facilitate the process of recovery, and how much time each day was actively being spent doing those things. And this was early on very early on in my kind of actively taking any kind of responsibility for recovery. But the recognition was that I was watching hours a day of soap operas and kind of crap on TV that, in a sense, was allowed me to kind of just numb out and live my life through other characters. And it wasn't like I had lots of hours a day of energy that I could spend on the recovery path, but there were things that I recognized that I didn't know they were going to help because it was too early, but I believed might be able to help. Things like meditation, things like looking at food and nutrition. And so if it was true of you that you know more than you're applying, that it's like you have the knowledge, but that knowledge is not equating to action, or if you're honest with yourself, you can recognize that those things that made the difference have been slipping, are perhaps not in the place in the way that they need to be. Almost the beginning of September, I think it is on Saturday, it's always a good time of year to reassess our focuses and to set some goals and some intentions over the next 3 or 4 months, so between now and Christmas. If you go back to the first few ever Facebook Lives that I did, so they were in January last year, so January 2017, and they've just recently been going out as podcasts, I specifically talked about how to set goals in a way which is appropriate to the recovery path from ME chronic fatigue. And the kind of essence of that is not setting goals around activity, it's setting goals around the actions that you're going to take that will support the process of recovery. But yeah, I kind of cannot emphasize enough the importance of those fundamentals. And one of the things that's happened over the years a number of times where I've inherited patients that have worked with other practitioners or they've worked with other organizations, and how surprised people can be when the first few sessions are spent on things that they thought they already knew, things that they would go, well, I know about that, I've already been doing that, but actually it's not consistently in place. And certainly I won't progress to the more sophisticated, nuanced, complex things that can be going on if those fundamentals are not in place and not locked down. And often what we have to do is we have to recheck in with ourselves, recommit to those practices and to those habits. And, it's that kind of thing. It doesn't matter when running a marathon. This is recovery from ME/CFS. It's not a marathon, but it's more a marathon than a sprint, let's say. That when running a marathon, it doesn't matter how many times you give up along the way, as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And the same is true on the recovery path. It doesn't matter how many times you feel like you've messed up pacing, you've not taken rest when you need to, the helper patterns have got carried away, whatever it is that the challenges are working with. It doesn't matter how many times those things slip. The key thing is getting back on the path, getting back on the focus when you recognize that things have slipped. So I hope that's been useful. Thanks for the comments. Carrie Ann's asking about the book. My book is it's currently available as an ebook. I'm not sure it's available as a hard book at the moment. It's between editions. It's called Why Me? My Journey from ME to Health and Happiness. And it's certainly available internationally on Amazon as an ebook. And thanks everyone else for their comments. Thanks Leslie and to John and to Martin and people who've been watching. and hopefully I'll be in a more suitable location at the right time and the right day next week. But thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.